if I die tomorrow, I won't have a single % of regret.
Do you think you became much more like conscious of like life and death through like those experiences?
If this will work in the Netherlands, this treatment that we are trying to make, then it will also be published in the medical literature and then it will be used worldwide. I've got this present that I got from my aunt, and it was like the ashes of Dex in a bracelet. And so each marathon I always bring him along, and I hope he smiles from heaven.
He built one of the fastest growing social media agencies, but when his young nephew lost the battle to cancer, everything changed. Out of grief, he created the Super Dex Foundation. And since then, he's been running marathons across the world, even with his dog Vito by his side, to raise money for children fighting cancer. From New York to Sydney, he's completed all 7 majors, proving that purpose can carry further than any pain. Rajhen, welcome to the 301 podcast. Rajhen, you ran all 7 major marathons, which is absolutely insane. I looked it up because I saw that the 6 majors that people run, I think there was like, I don't know, like 7,000 people or something did that. But I think the 7 major marathons is only ran by 2,500 people. You ran it just recently. That was maybe 3 weeks ago, something like this.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When I reached out to you on Instagram, you were like, be right back. I just have to run my 7th major in Sydney. I said like, okay, that's cool. We can talk about it in the podcast.
Yeah.
When you crossed that finish line, what went through your head?
Honestly, like, I never run for myself. I always run for my nephew, Dex, and also all the other children that are battling against cancer. So currently with the foundation, we have like this little girl, Marinda. She's 10 years old and she's battling against an eye nerve tumor. So I actually ran that marathon for her. And when I cross a marathon, it's like, I'm happy, I'm excited, but like, job continues, like just another day.
Just another day in the office.
Yeah.
Running 42.5 kilometer.
So honestly, I hate running still at my core. Like, it's my aunt that came with the idea to run to raise money for children with cancer. We did this like 8 years ago when my nephew was still battling for his battle against cancer. And it kind of stuck. Like, I didn't know anything else to raise money. After a few years, I got like the hang of it to organize events. And now, of course, with the Super Dex Foundation, other people are also running, doing challenges, Ironmans, making postcards for Christmas and blah. Everything is possible. But yeah, running is kind of what I know to raise money. So
yeah,
when I crossed when I crossed the finish on the 6th marathon, I felt kind of like empty because I said like, this will be my last big challenge for my nephew. It's completing the 6 marathons. And as you said, like when I crossed the finish, then there were only 7,000 people that actually nailed that. So I was 1 in 7,000, something like that, maybe 1 in 10,000. I don't know the exact number, but I knew it was like not a lot of people did it. And you get this medal and you get in like the Hall of Fame of marathoners. And I felt just completely like empty. Like I thought like, does his battle end here? Does my challenge, my mission end here? And I was like, no, like there's still, I look at around myself and I see all these charities running and big groups and all those kind of stuff. And I was in Boston at the time. And I ran to actually grant 11 children wishes right then in Boston. And I came back to the Netherlands and I was like, my story doesn't end here. Like Super Dex doesn't end here also. And that's actually when I looked into, okay, I can pour even more hours into my marketing agency, my advertising agency, or let me just go and put some more hours into something that I'm truly passionate about, where I'm truly feeling also like the world needs it. And if I die tomorrow, I won't have a single % of regret. And that's one of my core beliefs, to live life without regret. So that if I pass down tomorrow, I know like I did everything that I set out to do and that I said I would do. So
That's amazing. And I think you're like on a very good way. But for everyone listening right now, they're probably wondering, like, they hear Super Dex, they hear like foundation, they hear like the children battling with cancer and like really serious topics. How did this all start? Like, what was the initial? I think we do have to talk about your nephew
Yep.
Dex here. I hope it's also okay if we go
Of
there.
course, I love to talk about him.
Yeah. Take us back a little bit, maybe to the time that you found out that he had cancer, and also maybe then kind of like the inception of Super Dex.
Sure. So my nephew, he's a twin. So I've also got like a little niece called Zoe, and they were born like in 2016. So yeah, half past 2016. I think it was around like when they were 6-7 months old. They were under research for the hospital, like to find it and look if they got like cancer or something like that, because my aunt also got cancer, and they wanted to make sure that their children would be safe. So when they got their firstborn, it's called his name is Jason, my nephew, and he was like clean. So they had like the green light from the hospital also, like it's not it's something that you can get by how do you say it, by DNA, something like that, like heritage. And when Zoe and Dex were born, they were looking into it like, is everything going to be fine? And everything looked good. And one of the moments they got like researched, actually it was Zoe, where they were like, I think we found something, and they actually already like said to Dex like it's okay. And then Dex also needed to go back because they did find a little spot on his eye, and that turned out to be retinoblastoma. And that's a really rare cancer form in the eye, in the retina. And that's actually when the crazy part happened, because at that moment, like, you come in this roller coaster, and I always say it like, it doesn't matter if it's like children with cancer or grown-ups with cancer, it's all the same. Like, you get in this roller coaster, and you know there will be loopings and free dives and free falls and all those kind of things, and sharp, like everything, but you don't know when it's going to happen, but you know it's going to happen. And those 8 months, it was like crazy, because you see these little children battling against a big disease while they are supposed to enjoy life, like play and learn, and by falling and etc. And now they are fighting these big battles all by themselves. So Dex sadly passed away when he was 1.5 years old. So that was like the 20th of January 2017. And my niece, until this day, she's very healthy. She overwon it. So I've got like a big duality in my life, but also my family's life, is that also because they are like a twin. On the day of birth, we have like a celebration, but we also have like kind of like a memorial kind of way, because we are celebrating life, but we're also grieving about life. So that's our duality in our life. But it's also like, for me and our family, we are very positive minded, so we try to make the best out of it. So when Dex and Zoe were still battling against cancer, my aunt came with the idea like, hey, let's start this group. We call it Run for the Twin, Run for Dex, Run for Zoe. And we are going to raise money for Kika, Dutch charity. And we raised that. I think we raised in that run, the first time we did it with the whole family and friends, etc., I think something around 23K something. Wow. So that was a lot of money. Yeah. And I will never forget it, because Zoe was actually also invited then to come on stage and get this little medal and the check, etc. So that was so nice. And that kind of stuck. So we ran 2 times per year at 10K. I did at least with the family, but the group kind of got smaller and smaller and smaller. And I noticed for myself also, when I started raising funds, it got less and less and less. So that's how actually and we also had like the name Super Dex came from. We made this logo from the Superman logo, and we changed the letter the letter S to the letter D, as in Super Dex, because he was our superhero where we are running for. And we had that all on our chest when we are always running. And after, I think it was after 5 years, I noticed like, okay, if I want to make an impact into the life of children with cancer, because I did make the promise with my nephew when he died, to continue his battle against cancer for him. Then I thought like, yeah, I need to raise more money. I need to raise more funds, because otherwise I only raise for awareness, and that's also a good thing. But if you want to make an impact, you have to have euros in this world.
Mm.
So long story short, that's actually how I started to do different challenges. So I did the 4x4x48 challenge by David Goggins, running 77K for Make-A-Wish to repay the debt for Make-A-Wish, because my little niece got granted one wish. Then I did the Alpe d'Huez for KWF. My grandma also, sadly, not long after my nephew passed away from cancer, my grandma also passed away from cancer. So I did that for her. And then I ran the Berlin Marathon for my nephew. And we always say to my nieces and nephews, like, Dex has become a star. And once I finished that marathon, I got like this notification on my phone, and it said like, you received a star, and it was like from the Abbott World Marathon Majors. And I was like, what's this? Like, I have no idea. I went cold turkey in that marathon, and I looked into it, and then I found out there was this challenge, the big six, they called it, and you need to complete 6 marathons, the major marathons. And for some, you need to qualify by time. Some you have to be very lucky, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I love this challenge. And you've got this big medal. It's a 6-star medal. And I thought like, let me do this for my nephew. I already have 1. Now I need to do 5 more. And then I went completely berserk on running those marathons. I did 6 in like 1.5 years.
That's crazy.
And then when I crossed the finish, it was like, you have become one of the 10,000 that did this. And now when I did the 7th in Sydney, because they added that one, I became one of the, I think, 2,500. And only 94 Dutch people did it.
Yeah.
So makes me one of the 0.00005% of people that did it. It doesn't say that much about like, are you fast and all those kind of stuff.
No, I think it says a lot about you, and I think it's really crazy, because like where do you take like the strength of like getting into that action mode? There's many people that experienced loss, that experience grief, and I think the default setting is going into a hole, being very sad about it. But it seems like that you and your family like immediately went into action mode to say like, how can we make this bigger than Dex? How can we make this bigger topic? How can we help more people? Which is, I think, so remarkable. Then not to say like, this is, our journey ends here, but like, how can we make this journey better for people and generations to come? Like, where do you take that strength?
Honestly, like, it always sucks. I've lost a lot of people. When I was 17, my best friend committed suicide. So it's like loss has always been, from a young age, a kind of topic in my life. And I think we all, as a family, were like, okay, it will hurt. It will still hurt. It still does hurt. But you can always choose like, which fire are you going to fuel? Are you going to fuel the fire in you that is like, oh, I'm so sad, I hurt, and I have pain? Or are you going to fuel like, okay, this happened, but what can we learn from it? What can we get out of it? And for me, like, I saw it early, or when I saw at a very young age, like, I had to carry the coffin with my nephew, and it was like this small coffin, not that heavy and small, and we brought it to the memorial or the ceremony, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, that felt so I was 17 at that time, also 17, 18, something like that. And I know it's like, okay, I'm seeing parents giving away their child, and that had something be like, yeah, that just hits. And I just came to the realization like, this will happen for a lot of kids, and I think my aunt and uncle, they were also like, it happened, but how can we make the best of the situation? And we found something that for the family worked very well, especially in those early days, because we were doing something for him. And yeah, for me, it's always like, which flame are you going to fuel? And you can make it stronger by pouring attention and money, attention to it, and by pouring enough attention to, okay, this happened, but we are going to make the best out of this situation. And his name will still be, after 8 years, his name is at the moment even more recalled than like 8 years ago. And now more people are running for him and in his name with his logo. And I think that's something very beautiful, that now children also come into action for Super Dex Foundation, because they can resonate with the story, with a child fighting a battle, because there are a lot of children fighting these big battles. And for me, a superhero is that, somebody that never gives up, somebody that keeps on fighting. And especially, like, sometimes they say like superheroes don't exist, but I say sometimes superheroes exist fighting big battles in small bodies. And I found somebody that was fighting all day, all night. And I was like, completely, when I was that young, I was like, damn, that kid is fighting for his life. And how can I then complain about like little stuff in life? And if he can fight, then let me borrow a little bit of his strength, to move forward. So yeah.
And do you live also now, what I have the feeling that you also live a little bit with this duality of like life and death? Because also what's interesting, you said as well, like, oh, like if I would die, then like I would not regret it, or, you know, of course, like the live every day as if it would be your last and everything.
Yeah.
Do you think you became much more like conscious of like life and death through like those experiences? And also, like, do you practice it in like daily life, that you're more like present or try to enjoy life more?
Definitely. So if you come to my house, you'll see in the living room, there's a big like Memento Mori painting. And each day or each week, I just check a box, and you'll see specifically like how many weeks did passed, and how many weeks do I still get. And the question is like, you'll never know when that comes from you, so it can happen any day. It can happen anytime, any day, any moment. But by experiencing that on an early age, I think you kind of get the click. Because when I was younger, you think like you have the infinity of life, and you have youthfulness, and you will never die, and those things will never happen, and you won't get ill, and you've got all these things, and you think you can take on and conquer the world. But when you then see like a kid that was very healthy, and then suddenly they got cancer, and then after a few months they are not here anymore. Or my best friend, he was 17, committed suicide, and then on one day he's gone. My grandma, she got cured from cancer and then got it again, and she's gone. So there's this pattern that you can't, like, you don't have it under control. And I think for me, stoicism helped a lot with that. So I practice stoicism like each day, and that's also why I try to contemplate that. Like, okay, if I'm going to die, like, what would I wanted to do and achieve? And so at the early age, I went after my dreams also, just to make sure that I don't have regret. That's also why I got my wolf dog. That was a childhood dream. I made my trip to Japan. I started my business. I traveled. Still, one of my biggest bucket list goals is to visit every country of the world. So try to travel a lot and do a lot, experience a lot. I try to get in touch with that as much as possible. And that sounds kind of like weird, but I try to. That's also one of the Stoic principles, is like, or assignments, is like, try to visualize your death, so that once the day comes, you be kind of ready. And I think that's a nice way to also look at life and find out that it can be over in a second, but we don't know. So use your time wisely. it's not like you've also like the carpe diem, and that's like just live and drink and do all these things and party and all this kind of stuff. I'm more like, let's try to make a lasting impact. Let's make something worth remembering.
Yeah. And I think you do that with your foundation, because that I find also remarkable. You are not just I think there's many people out there that run marathons for like Kika or like KWF, I think,
Yep.
for KFW in the Netherlands, the Cancer Foundation, that run their marathons and just connected to like existing foundation which is already there. But I think like with many things in your life, you went the extra mile and you said like, what about launching my own foundation? Because I think, yeah, that's like the extra step that you took again on top. So you built the Dex Foundation. Why did you want to have your own foundation, and why did you not just connect it to other like foundations that are already existing?
Yeah. So 2 things. When I crossed the finish line during my 6th marathon, I noticed this empty feeling of like, does it end here? Like, I thought like, okay, now I finished. I did the 6, the Hall of Fame, the medal, the journey is over. Like 2 years of running marathons, it's done. But I only felt like, is it really done now? I don't feel like it. Still still children die from cancer, battling cancer, and then I thought like, okay, so that definitely doesn't end here. And on the other hand, I noticed during all my my fundraisers and all kind of stuff that like there's still a lot of positive things happening with all the money that's being gathered. But I've got also like a lot of questions from my friends, families, and people that didn't know me, like, how's the money going to be used? And when I was asking like how will it be used, then sometimes you got these fake answers. And I thought like, yeah, I just want to be clear, like I will be running, because I knew it for myself. I'll be running, I'll be raising funds, I'll be doing this for the rest of my life, and hopefully people will do it still after my life and then for my nephew. But I want to make sure that everybody that will be donating me a single cent or a euro will know exactly how it's going to be used. And that's how I came actually with the idea. And it was running through my mind for 4 years prior to that moment. Actually, already I wanted to make a charity that's kind of like Make-A-Wish and Kika, so with children and making their wishes or dreams come true. And I tried to bundle that to something. And then I was like, what's the name should be? Oh, what should the name be? I was like, of course, Super Dex. Like, we already have the logo, we have everything else already set up, we have like images and footage from all those runs that we actually already did. And on every single marathon, I always printed as extra on the Kika shirts and the Make-A-Wish shirts. I always printed the Super Dex logo everywhere. I've also got it tattooed on my leg, or on my ankle. So I thought like, okay, Super Dex will help children, but then I only need to know like, okay, where will be the money be used correctly? So then I went to I think it's one of the biggest European hospitals for children with cancer. It's called the Princess Maxima. And I actually called them like, I'll be raising money for the rest of my life, but I only want to know for 100% certainty that it will be used accordingly on things that really impact the lives of children with cancer. And they said like, Rajhen, come on over. And we went there, we met, and I immediately felt like, okay, if there will be a place where the magic really happens to win this battle against cancer for children, like child cancer will always be there. I don't think that it will ever go away, but I do think that it's possible to make sure that every child that got cancer or will get cancer will be able to be cured. And that's where the magic happens. They've got like hundreds of researchers working there day and night. So when a child with cancer gets treatment, they'll be getting the tissue, and they can start researching and all those kind of stuff. So it's like this superhero organization where everybody's working together, and the hospital's built with children. So you've got all these little bicycles so that the kids can buys a bike to different places if they don't want to walk or keep like what. So keep
still enjoying their time,
yeah,
while in this heavy period.
exactly. And so that's how I came up with like, okay, that's the place where the money needs to go to. But from all my experiences, I want to make sure that the donor is always in charge. I read a lot of reviews before starting the foundation. I did a lot of research, like where is the money going to? Is it going to the director, or is it going to like too much marketing activities, TV commercials, and all those kind of stuff? And then I thought like, okay, I can do that better with my current understanding of like how things work and how I can operate business, and also of course then a charity. So I thought like, let's make the donor in charge. So if somebody's going to do an action for Super Dex, the donor can then decide like how will my donation be used. So they can choose anywhere, like we kept it at 80-20. So you can never donate more than 20% to marketing activities. But if you are like, I solely want my money to go to the children, then you're my best friend, because that's also what I always wanted. And then you can just choose like 100% will go to the Princess Maxima Centrum. And with the Princess Maxima, we get like this project. And currently we are raising money for an eye nerve tumor treatment. And they will need like 50K this year, 50K next year, 50K the year after that. And we are making sure that we get those funds so that we can say also like the Super Dex Foundation raised all this money for an eye nerve treatment. And so the treatment itself, 30 children will get like an eye nerve per year. And it's they don't really got like these plans ready to make sure that they get the proper treatment. So a lot of kids get like heavy chemo or lose their eyesight because they are too late. And we think that, or actually the Prince Maxima, as in the how do you say it, the eye the opticians.
Yeah, opticians.
Yeah, opticians. They are talking with each other, and they said like, if we can come to an agreement and make this treatment, then we can actually better provide care for children. And so that's the project that we are raising money for. So if now somebody donates, you can just say like 100% goes to that treatment, and it goes literally to there. Like no parties involved. I'm not never getting a single cent from it, and like the whole board doesn't get a cent. So the donor is in charge. We know exactly what we are raising money for. And yeah, so that's kind of like making sure that we're still, because there are a lot of big organizations, charities already raising a lot of funds for children with cancer. They are doing a great job. I have nothing against them, but I do think like for some donors, they just want to make sure that if they donate, they will know 100% certain that it's going to be used directly for a good cause, and not that a lot of money is going into these TV commercials.
And of course for them it's also like a rat's tail, right? So they also, like the bigger organization, like not only the Cancer Foundation but UNICEF and all those like help organizations, like it's this kind of like thin line between like they need to kind of like push into marketing and like TV commercials to raise awareness. But I think this is like this gray area, but that is like, as a donor, very difficult to like estimate, like, you know, how like, do you need to have like a primetime TV spot that costs a lot of money, or is it the most like the best way how they spend this money on marketing, on clips? How transparent, like which agencies are they choosing? Are they choosing AAA agencies that charge AAA prices for the commercial and all this kind of stuff, which makes it as a donor sometimes very like strange, I think, to donate. So that's why I like it so much that like I went through this process as well, to see your let's say foundation at work, to say like I can choose with a click where the money goes, and then that's where the money goes. So I think that's like the transparency part. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah.
And really cool that you implemented in that way.
Thanks. Yeah. So, but that's exactly also the point. Like, I've raised money for like almost 8 years. I've been raising funds, and for the last 7 years, I could never say like, well, there was this one time for Make-A-Wish, it was 100% going to the wishes for the children. So that was crystal clear. And I love that aspect, actually, because when I came back from the Netherlands, that was actually the thing that thought like I wanted to be as crystal clear as I did for Make-A-Wish in Boston, because it was just like, raise this amount of money and 11 children wishes will come true. We actually needed to raise money for 10 wishes, but we got more. So we ended up making 11 children wishes coming true. And then I also met with those children that got their wish granted by the money
amazing.
that we raised. And it was so that it came so close to me then. I was like, okay, I want this to be always the thing. Like, if somebody is going to raise money, I want them also to be able, like, no, we're raising money for this project and it's important because X, Y, and Z. So if you donate me, you can also choose like how much of your donation will go to that project. But if you know, like, hey, the Super Dex Foundation, they also need to do the marketing, they need to buy the shirts and all this kind of stuff. You can also choose 20% or 15 or 10, even 5, to donate to that part, and they'll use that money to make sure that the foundation grows. But honestly, like for me, the most beautiful thing anybody can do is like even donate €1 and make sure that it 100% goes to the children, because that's where the money will be used correctly,
Yeah.
and the impact will be the biggest.
Yeah. And so the foundation exists now, I think, for like a little bit more than a year, I think.
Yep.
So if anyone out there wants to do something good for the rest of the year, then go donate. I will put all the links, of course, in the description as well. I think it's an amazing cause, and yeah, everyone should just join in, and it's going to be much bigger in future. If you look back now, running an foundation for a year, what is for you or what was the most surprising thing?
So that's a good one. The most surprising thing from running a foundation, I think, is there were so many more people wanting to get involved but didn't know how, that I opened the door for a lot of people that wanted to do something. People that were not even making a lot of money, but some business doing a lot of money. And they were like, yeah, I want to do something for a long time. And now you came in and you opened that opportunity for me. And I think that was the most beautiful thing about it. Like, we have now businesses coming in, they are selling their services without me asking it for it. Just the other day, I was at the business club Aquila, and the owner of that, Alvino, he came to me and he said like, I'll give my masterclass in positioning and sales and all those kind of stuff. And afterwards, I'll give you like 1 minute to do a good pitch, because I'll sell my service for 60 minutes. And it will be costing €500, but we want to raise it for Super Dex. And I was like, okay. And he gave me like, for 1 minute, I got the word. And eventually he sold 10 of those sessions. So 5K immediately.
Nice.
And I was like, whoa. And during my offline event, I'm always organizing one or two offline events per year for entrepreneurs. It's more like a network event with guest speakers, and I'll make sure that the location is set, the food and everything is being sponsored by all these different companies. And I've got like a lot of big companies that's sponsoring, like San Pellegrino, Acapana, Mora. It's like one of the biggest in like snacks and all those kind of stuff. So it's very funny to see those big brands also wanting to be a part of this, what I'm doing. And yeah, we raised a lot of money during that event, but also last time, a lot of clients from my agency actually said like, oh, you can have this stuff, you can just give it away, and you can do a lottery with this, and I want to sell my service. And that's something that I truly appreciate a lot, but I did not see that expecting, because normally when I do business with clients, I always say like, make sure you validate your ID and go to this, try to run a few ads yourself and see if your ID is working, and test angles and hooks and all those kind of stuff. And I was just completely like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it.
No matter
period.
what, yeah.
No matter what. And the idea was like, I hope people will start to see and go with it. But like to be able to do only this like Sunday we'll do a strong Viking ring with like 18 people. We are running marathons all over the world now. I've people doing Ironmans. My niece was selling postal cards for Christmas. Now we've got like Marinda, a young girl of 10 years old, that's going also selling bracelets for the charity. So there's a lot of movement there, and that's something I did not expect. Like the first year, I didn't expect it to grow that much. But currently, we are already like, I think we are going a multiple by 6 for this year already.
That's crazy.
And we still have like 1 quarter left. So we're already like that much ahead of last year. So
Yeah.
it's moving fast, it's growing, people are enjoying it. So it's so lovely to see.
Yeah, because what most people I think don't know, like you're not working full time on the foundation, even though that it sounds like it's a pretty much a full time job, but on the side, you are actually having like a main job. So it's not your side job. You're running a social media ad agency.
Yeah.
That is also super successful. That delivered like 10th of millions of return on ad spend for your clients. So you're not really only really good of setting up a foundation, but also like running a business. How does those two worlds kind of like you unite with each other? Because of course you started this agency like I think before even the cancer diagnosis.
So District Social I founded in 2020 actually. And in the first year I was just selling freelance services, SEO, copywriting, social media management, creative design, ads. So that's kind of like, so in, I think end of 2020, I finally found my way in like ecom ads. I never forget the moment when I put my first ad live. Within 30 minutes, I sold a blue sweater for $69.99. And that's when I thought like, okay, ecom ads, this will be it. And from that moment on, I felt like a machine learning AI. I took somebody in for sales. So he did the sales to get new clients in. And I was just like testing all my advertising IDs in this account, and if it works, I tried it in another account, and if it works on that account, I tried it on the third account. But also if something didn't work, I tried to use it there, and I thought like, okay, 2 accounts didn't work, let's not try it for the third. So it felt like in that year that it was like this machine learning, having all these ad accounts in front of me and learning a lot of stuff. But you learn actually by doing ads and working with all these businesses. You constantly get like this little sneak peek in their kitchen. Like, okay, how are you going about business? How are you going about finance? How are you going about making impact? How you're making choices, positioning, and all those kind of stuff. So I learned all that. And when, after 5 years of running my agency, I was like, okay, is this the only thing that I would like to be able to do? Or am I going also to be putting a little bit more hours into yes, I was already running these marathons. I was already making a lot of promotion for it, but then it all went to different charities. So when I started like Super Dex, it was like, okay, I don't matter if it's just 1 hour that I can put it in it for a week, that it's still 1 hour that's benefiting children with cancer. Still, there are a lot of more hours going into it. And I want to pour even more hours into it, but still I have a lot of clients also to be able to help. I have a team that I need to be there for. So it's kind of like balancing the two worlds. But I noticed from my online world for District Social that one of the things that my clients always like the most is that I'm going over them and just sparring with them, strategizing, doing fun things, going for a dinner, a lunch, all these kind of things. And also with the event, like a lot of businesses we work with are in the e-com space. So they are all online and they are missing that sense of connection, like real to real, person to person. And with the charity, it opened also a lot of doors because that's really the offline world and making impact. And I think a lot of businesses always say like, yeah, I want to make impact and do all these things. And at an early stage, I always said with District Social, we're donating 10% of our profits to charities. Now, of course, it goes to Super Dex. And yeah, it sounds sometimes, if I look at it on paper, it sounds like these worlds do not fit. Like you've got like the online fast-paced world of e-commerce, and then on the other hand you have the world of making impact, children with cancer, health, care, and all this kind of stuff. But with District Social, we solely help healthy brands, so businesses that are in food, health, lifestyle, sport, all those kind of stuff. And they are actually always working on a mission to improve the world, either by helping people have a better health, but making sure that people have a better health, and if they get children, they'll also get healthier. So I see it as, if I help there, and we get more profit, of course, then the charity also benefits from it. And by these, like I also said, a lot of the donations, the big donations, are coming from business connections, clients that I met that want to do something for the charity, or want to donate, or can sponsor some things, and that just benefits the both. So I try to combine it and make a bridge between those two worlds, and I think people will know, like, you can say Rajhen without District Social or Super Dex, and Super Dex exists because of District Social, and District Social has meaning because of Super Dex. So
yeah, so it's kind of together, but it is really like I can imagine a little bit that this world, they kind of collide, because on the one hand you I don't know, maybe discuss with our clients about, I don't know, return on ad spend, or that the conversion rate was not like, you know, as you predicted or promised, or something like this. But on the other hand, you have like young children fighting for cancer, right? So it's, I think your world is also sometimes a little bit pretty imbalanced, because like I mean, it's important for both worlds, right? Like if you are a business owner and you run ads and they don't perform, it's like really bad, but of course it's situational. And on the other hand, like you have something fundamentally that like the health is like really, really bad, and like someone is really sick. So it's also like a really strange like world that you sometimes go in between.
Like I think that's also the duality of like Dex and Zoe. I think that's also the duality in my business life, like District Social and Super Dex. It's exactly how you say it. Like those worlds can collide. Sometimes I'm having these calls with clients and they are like whining a little bit of that the performance or the revenue drop, and then I'm like, yeah, is this really the biggest issue there is in the world? But like, for everybody's has got their own perspective of life, and I try to also, like, okay, what's the big goal for some businesses here? They want to grow, they need to provide also for their own families and all those kind of stuff. And like, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. So I also understand that, like, if they whine about the performance drops, and in a collaboration, it always happens that the performance dropped.
Yeah.
But I also try to kind of like it's not the end of the world. We know that it dropped, and we can see it because of factor X, Y, and Z, and we can do A, B, and C to fix it. Fix it. Like, it will be okay.
Yeah.
But it's a big duality. Like, I would love to just pour all my attention, energy into Super Dex, and I think it will benefit a lot. But I also need to be thinking about myself, because I don't want to get paid from Super Dex, and I want people's money, if they are donating, that it goes solely to the cause that we are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So I get paid from District Social, and I try to maintain it as much as possible. Like, I've got this coaching session from Michael Pilarczyk, and he also told me, like, when is it enough for you? Are you doing already enough? And I was like, I could say that I did enough, but when he said, like, when is it enough? I was like, I don't have an answer for that. And that kept me on this every day. It was never enough, because I could always put a lot of more hours into the charity, but I could also put a lot of more hours into District Social. And then I found for myself also, like, what I'm doing with Super Dex, even if it's just 1 hour per week that I can pour into it, that's 1 hour that's benefiting children with cancer, and that's, for me, that's good. And so that's for me the achievement I'm always trying to get, like at least 1 hour per week. And that sounds very little, but by setting the standard so low, it always gets like 10 or 20 hours.
Yeah.
But if I said like I want to do at least 10 hours per week for example, and I am stuck at like 5 or 6, I will probably punish myself for not pouring the that amount of hours into it, while 7 hours is still super good. But I will punish myself because I am that kind of person, like
Yeah.
very strict for myself.
I'm also wondering, like, you are now 7-8 years in the journey of raising money. The foundation exists now like 1 year. If you would look back at this time, what do you think was like the hardest moment for you in the journey?
The year of my foundation or the 7 years prior?
Can be both. Like, I think in the end, like, it's one journey for
Yeah.
me. It's just like a kind of like natural progression. I think that you moved to. But like, was there like a moment where you also said like, I'm not sure if I can maybe handle both like pressure from the business, the fund, like not foundation, but like having constantly this maybe drive that I have to run, I have to do this, I have to do this for him, I promised him.
Yeah. That's a good one. I think for me the biggest uh issue there was always that I wanted to pour more time into Super Dex or raising the funds for the marathons. And these marathons always happen like on periods that it doesn't fit well with my schedule from District Social. So it's sometimes during Q4, sometimes during summer or during the early stage of the year. And I always wanted to put more attention to it. And because with the first charities I run with, they got these big, like, you need to raise this amount of money, otherwise you can't go with us, or you can't join the marathon, for example. So you've got this big goal over there, but then you also got like your business goals, and your business goals ask you for like put more time and effort into marketing, into sales, and all this kind of stuff. But on the other end, you also got like this, you need to raise this amount of money, and otherwise you are kind of like screwed, because you then cannot go with us to Berlin, for example. So then you also need to raise money. And then one of the biggest things I found that was kind of hard was making sure people donate money to you, because you have like this circle of, in business I call this the family, friends, and fools. And with charity and raising funds, it's actually kind of the same. You always have that circle of family, friends, and fools that are always there to support you and want to donate and help you and cheer you on. But you can't, like, if you have multiple runs per year, you can't just go to that same circle each time. So you need to make a connection with new people to raise more funds. So that was one of the things that I found really hard, is like all these different goals and making sure that you direct your attention to the right goal. That was kind of hard, especially in the beginning, and that's also how I came up with like, okay, so the bigger and crazier the challenge, the more funds I would raise. But that would also only work for a certain point, because after that, people know like, okay, you'll do these crazy challenges, we know you'll get across the finish, and we already did support you like a week ago or a year ago, something like that. Then I came across like, okay, how can I provide more value, for example? That was hosting events. So then I did events for like 100 entrepreneurs. They come together, they'll have some value, they connect with each other. We have some guest speakers. So we had like Joran Kerkels the first time, Edith Bos, Tibor Olgers, and Erik Wegenwijs. So we got like 4 guest speakers. People came together. There were more than 100 entrepreneurs in the room. They were connecting. They paid like 100 for a ticket. And so we raised a lot of money that day. I think we raised only at that event like 20K just by providing more value. And then it also struck me like, if I want to achieve these goals, I need to think a little bit bigger than just asking for donations to friends, families, and fools. That was one thing that was really hard. And yeah, I think after that, the hard part was always making sure that you want to grow the foundation, but then you also want to grow the company, District Social, and balancing those two worlds can feel a little bit hard. But at the same time, each morning I wake up and I look at it like, okay, I have these 2 things that I really want to do, and it's a challenge, but I love the fact that this is my challenge. Like, I need to make sure that both worlds are working simultaneously good together. And that's also why I look differently at my agency 1.5 years ago. Like, a business should provide you in the way of life you want to live, and it should not be the thing that determines your whole life. And District Social actually kind of became my whole life, because if you said District Social, you said Rajhen, and if you said Rajhen, it was District Social. So everything was centered around me. Like, clients were centered around me, the advertising strategies were around me, the sales, the marketing, and I had put myself in this golden cage of business. Like, it was going pretty well, especially from the outside, but on the inside I felt like I'm so stuck. Like, I can't get out my room right now, because if I am going out my room, then I cannot do calls with clients, and if I do not calls with clients, they will probably leave, and all these things were happening. And then I had these small moments of light and hope when I was running a marathon, for example. Then I felt so in touch with myself. And when I get back, that's so funny. Like, I always call a lot with my mom, and she'll notice, like, when I came back from a marathon or something that I did for Super Dex or the charity, it took me like 4 days to get back in my working mode. Like, I could not just, I was looking like, I don't want to get to the office. I don't want to open my laptop, because if I open my laptop, it's going to talk about ROAS and CLTV and CPC and all those kind of stuff. And I was like, there's more in this world than just only that. And just by going through these phases and learning myself also more, I found out, like, why not structure my business that way that I can always do something for the charity, and also always fuel that fire in me that wants to do more for the world, but also wants to become a good entrepreneur and help my clients and help them thrive in what they want to do. So I restructured everything, and that helped me a lot by combining those worlds. So it's a big answer to your question, but I do think, like, you need to go through these phases, and then you learn kind of like, okay, if I structure my business this way, that clients book calls in my agenda instead of having always these fixed meetings, it will give me a little bit more breathing room because you also need to train for all these marathons. So it helped a lot by doing those things. But that was, I think, the hardest part, and still is always, like, you want to put more time and effort into the charity and also, like, the District Social, but just having a good planning and also, like, these boundaries and, like, building your business around your life instead of making your life your business, that has helped me a lot.
And because what I found really interesting with you is that it seems like you really want to get to know, like, all the people and all the stories, like, that you are supporting. But I think that it can also, like, maybe paralyze you in a way, right? So if you get to know, like, a story of a child with cancer, and you try to maybe fulfill the wish or, like, raise a certain amount that you know that the child needs it, like, does this also, like, sometimes paralyze you if you see maybe, oh, we maybe don't achieve it, or we are not getting closer or something like this? Or does it more kind of, like, fuel you?
It fuels me. Like, give me a challenge, I'll go after it. Like, I like it. And it's also probably, like, in business, you need to strive for goals and you'll move forward. So in the period where I kind of got, like, stuck and it was growing a lot and I was only, like, stuck in my own business, the golden cage era, that was also the moment that I stopped setting business goals. Like, I thought, like, let's just leave it like this, because I hate it when I don't achieve something that I said I would do. I'll punish myself for it. And by not setting goals, it was like, now I cannot fail, but I also don't really need to push myself a lot. So right now I changed everything, of course, restructured it, and now I always have these clear business goals, and I'm just going completely berserk to get them. And then I also have, like, these big sport goals. I'll go completely berserk to get them. And, like, I have, like, one of the biggest mountain so the Princess Maxima, they asked like, are you able to raise 150K? And I didn't even raise a single dime for a Super Dex. And I was like, yeah, you can count on me. And like, that's probably also like more like how I am as a person. Like, I'll make it happen. And we still have like 1 quarter left to raise around 15K, but I don't even feel stressed out because I know we'll make it happen. And I'll try come up with something, and I'll try to push more people to run something or do something, and it will probably end up right. But
where does this come from? Like, I mean, it seems like it's like something like structured in you. Like, were you always like this kind of like high achiever and like, give me a challenge, I do it? Or is it really like through the journey and through the experiences with your best friend, with Dex, with like all the tragedies that you like lived through the past couple of years?
So my coach didn't always like this aspect about me, but I think somewhere this was one of my first coaches. But like, I'm a all in or all out person. Like, I'm either going all in on something, or I'm not going after it. So there's no in between. And I used to always hate this about myself, because it also meant like falling back to certain levels where I did not, like in terms of fitness, for example. And I went fully berserk on on my health, and then one weekend I'll slip, and I started. That was like 6 years ago, something like that. And it was this pattern. But when I really start to utilizing this a little bit more better, like, it's okay to go all in. And if you go all in, go just completely all in, and then have your season of rest, for example. But I don't think I think it's come from experience. I don't think I always had this, actually. When I was little, also, like, school was not that hard for me. But I was like, I'll just go completely all in on like one night, and I'll learn everything. And then the next day I'll have my test, and it's okay. Perfect. Done. And now I can just go all in on like chilling and have a fun time. So I think it was already kind of there. Like, I was never the person that skips things, tests, and all those kind of stuff. So I did learn then, like, completely berserk, do the test, get like the minimum grade that you need. And I was like, okay, go. No, next. So it was, I think it was already there. Like, I also did, in my early age, I did sales jobs. So selling newspaper subscriptions. So that's also like, you need to be all in or all out, because if you're not all in getting like 100 no's and then 1 yes, then you're kind of fucked, because you leave you leave the day with a negative salary.
Yeah.
It costs more to get there than that you got earned. So you needed to be all in there also.
Interesting. I think it's really cool how you kind of constructed your life, and also like, how you like really chase after it. So it's really, really nice. And I think, of course, with your ambition, with your track record, with like your mindset, I think you could have also chosen like a complete different route of like being this typical like social media ad agency guy, like living in Dubai right now, flexing your Ferraris.
You will never see me in the desert.
Yeah, exactly. Except if there's a marathon,
then yes,
or like a very long run. That
exactly.
sounds like something you would do. Really, really cool. I think I keep on supporting the cause, of course, because I really, really believe in it. It's so nice what you built. If you can give like one shout out, like one thing that the listeners can do today to support the Super Dex Foundation, what would it be?
Honestly, go to superdex.nl. You can either choose to donate one of our superheroes. So Marinda is still making bracelets for the charity. I would actually just say donate her, like even €1, €10, something like that. It doesn't even matter how much the amount is, but she's our biggest superhero at the moment. She has raised the most money for the charity, and I think like she's 10 years old, fighting for 5 years against an eye nerve tumor, and that eye nerve tumor is exactly the treatment what we are trying to set here in this world. And also for your information, like, if this will work in the Netherlands, this treatment that we are trying to make, then it will also be published in the medical literature, and then it will be used worldwide. So then not only like the 30 children that got an eye nerve tumor in the Netherlands each year, but then we'll have like 15,000 children that got an eye nerve tumor across the whole world will benefit from what we're doing here. And that can happen in the name of Super Dex. I cannot be even more proud than that.
And if your nephew Dex would kind of see what you built in his name, like what do you think he would say?
I think he would smile. Like I've got this present that I got from my aunt, and it was like the ashes of Dex in a bracelet. And so each marathon I always bring him along, so he sees the world with me, and I try to imagine always that he's just with me and seeing and experiencing all these things. And I hope he smiles from heaven when he sees all the shirts and his logo everywhere.
For sure. Wow, I get goosebumps. Really, really awesome. I have always 3 final questions to every guest. I'm also going to ask them to you. What's something that you're currently learning that you're not good at?
That's a great question. Well, actually, I know especially what it is. That's structure and like management. So like you can put me in a room and I'll talk with people and I'll do all these. I have all these ideas, and now I need to really structure everything and systemize and really make sure that the team also understands what's going into my head. If it's like advertising strategies and all those kind of stuff. So that's something that I'm really learning, because I'm always very enthusiastic, but I'm like, where I lack skill is in sitting down and just writing it down out for like step A, B, C, D, and then make sure that's in a list. Yeah,
that's what you're learning. What name would you give this chapter of your life?
That's a great question. I think it would be something along the rising of. I think that would be kind of like, I really feel also that I found my purpose, and it sounds kind of like always like, oh, you find your purpose and go for it. Like, but I have found more connections and red lines across everything that I'm doing right now in my life since ever before, by just making the decision of like, I'm starting my charity because this is where I feel the most passionate about. And so I think that's the rising of Super Dex, the rising of District Social, the rising of Rajhen. Like, I think the rising sounds
nice. The rising of. And last question: if you could send a SMS to all mobile phones in the world, what would you say?
Donate €1 to superdex.nl.
That would be epic. That would be one good. Normally, I don't allow commercials for our own company here, but in this case, I think it's SMS. I would love to send.
Yeah. So I think that would be a great SMS. Like, what if you could help a girl of 10 years old that's almost losing her eyesight, and is 5 years battling against cancer, and you could, with €1, make sure that she keeps her eyesight, and also 15,000 other children per year. You could do that by €1. Go to superdex.nl. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your amazing story. I think it was super inspirational. Like, I'm very inspired by, I was inspired already before just hearing from your story, but then, like, I don't know, seeing firsthand how passionate you are also, and how driven you are, and that you're not just doing this for the, just to say like, oh, I'm like doing this like, it's really like a higher purpose that I feel with you doing that. So yeah, for everyone listening right now, go to superdex.nl. Also go to District Social if you need help with ads, if you need help with anything social media, then also here I think you're a very good partner to talk with, because one cause supports the other cause. So if you don't want to donate, at least maybe start working together, and you kind of indirectly can support the foundation. Normally I always shout out to subscribe and to subscribe to the channel, but I think this would be really not the right frame to subscribe. So I'm gonna shout out to donate to superdex.nl, and we see each other in the next episode of the 3-1 podcast.